Hey everybody, this is Perch. I thought I would take a moment here to look at a comic nobody talks about. With all the conversations around Masters of the Universe and He-Man and everything else that have gone on, and one of the comments has been, why are people so angry about a TV show that is designed to sell toys? Well, not wading into that debate, and we've had plenty of it. Let's do something a little bit more fun, and let's look at a comic book that was sold with toys. So this is He-Man and the Power Sword, Masters of the Universe. And basically what happened here is in the early 80s, I think 1981, when these toys were coming out, they included a little mini comic, and it was a pretty cool part of the overall product. I mean, the illustration was solid. It was a nice little additional thing, and the Masters of the Universe toy line actually had about 49 of these comics. I think more than that. I think it was over 50 actually, and some of them are quite rare. And Dark Horse did a great job of reprinting them, so that's what we're going to look at a little bit today. But some pretty cool stuff. But this is a comic book that came with the toy. As people know, I'm not a huge fan of He-Man and Masters of the Universe, but I am a huge fan of comic books getting more places. I think that part is plenty cool, so let's take a look at it. So right away, we set up the little battle between the two. So this is basically giving us the origin of He-Man. And you might notice in terms of the cartoon and other things, it's very different from what you might remember. But this was the original first comic. Basically, a mighty figure stood at the edge of the jungle that had until this day always been his home. He-Man, the tribe's greatest warrior, waved his farewell. He might have preferred to stay, but he had a noble mission to accomplish. He was basically going to go out and tackle the evil in Eternia. And so he waves goodbye, very much kind of a savage, Neanderthal caveman type character. So he wanders off. And as he's wandering around, for some reason he climbed up on this big ledge. He comes across, the outside world is a complete mystery to He-Man's tribe. So as he trudged through the craggy cliffs and quake-torn valleys, his home faded into distant mists, and gazing into the valley, He-Man saw that his courage and jungle-bred strength were already needed. And he comes across this big rat dinosaur kind of creature attacking a helpless green-looking woman. And so in a blur of bronze movement, I love the wording here is crazy. And he's got his bare feet here. He-Man leapt from the cleft side onto his shaggy foe. His powerful fingers dug into the monster's hide, but He-Man did not fight the creature alone. The woman that the creature was attacking gestured magically and attacked the creature with mystical force. She's a sorceress, he thought. But her magic hardly fazed the animal. It kind of sucked, actually. But the same could not be said of He-Man's might. So he easily the panel we don't see in this kid's comic book is he pretty much ripped the monster's jaw off from the look of it. Anyway, so having defeated the animal, the sorceress regained her breath, complimented him, your strength, your courage, mark you as a legendary hero who is to inherit the treasures I've guarded all these years, which happened to be just kind of hanging out in this cave here. So inside the ancient ruins, the sorceress gave He-Man costumes and weapons, and they will add to the strength in defense of Castle Grayskull. So I like how this kind of, jungle warrior guy basically goes in and gets decked out. She's like, here, take this shield, this axe I've laying around. So he does, and he dons the costume that we all know. So riding in his strange vehicle, no cringer here, a combination of battering ram, catapult, and space warp device. I like that. A battering ram and a catapult, okay, and a space warp device. Things escalated quickly there. Anyway, He-Man sets off on his mission, which from the picture is just punching rocks. But anyway, this particular valley, miles away from the castle, struck his fancy. So it would serve as his new home and headquarters. So the costume gives him superhuman strength. And so He-Man went to work carving out his new home using no tools other than the power of his fists. He-Man's just punching this rock into a house. Crazy. But anyway, while He-Man is doing some construction, Skeletor, in the cell that he is peeking at a woman who's hanging out in the stream. I'm joking there, please. I'm joking. So Skeletor is like creeping on Teela with Beastman, and Beastman says there's none in all Eternia as beautiful as Teela. He hasn't seen the new cartoon. Anyway, I'm really starting to believe she is a goddess. And Skeletor's like, she'll be more than that, whispered his master Skeletor. Soon she'll be my bride. So a lot of people are commenting in the new cartoon about how, Skeletor's line, no woman would have me kind of thing. But in canon from the first comic, which what we're looking at. I mean, Skeletor was pretty horny for old Tila, so that's legit. But it was no simple matter to capture the warrior goddess. She fought like a demon, her body possessing the spirits of ancestral champions. Only Skeletor's energy blade, after freezing her horse, shocked her into unconsciousness. So I like how Beastman's like, shit. He realizes he's chewed off a bit too much here. I mean, the expression on his face is like, I'm not that horny. But anyway, and Skeletor does say, be careful as they're dragging her away. I don't want my bride to be damaged, which is thoughtful of him. So anyway, they carry her over to Castle Grayskull, a fortress so ancient no one knew its origin. And the castle, an eerie voice, the castle's all-present spirit, warned them, go back. The secrets and treasures of Grayskull are for none to possess. Go away. Another warrior secretly watched as Skeletor defied the warning and forced open the castle's drawbridge. There's a lot of forcing open jaws here. Anyway, so Skeletor wanders inside, entering the grim castle, Beastman carrying the unconscious Tila, who's got a lot of hair here. Anyway, he defies. When you see a spooky voice in a castle, the best thing to do is piss on it. So this is what Skeletor does. I defy you, spirit of the castle. I have a whole half of the mystic power sword. I'll possess the other half, and then I'll have full power, and nothing will stop me. When I have both, and then there's some exposition here where Skeletor basically says, I'll join the halves together, and the magic fires, and then, I'll once I lived in another dimension, populated by others of my kind, but when the Great Wars opened a hole, I was thrown into this world, and where I creep on Tila in the pond, and so he's going to basically open up the hole, and more Skeletors are going to come in. It's basically his plan. So he ties Tila up to a stone slab, and then they find a map and they go searching around to the sword. Meanwhile, as He-Man was finishing up his dwelling, and I like how he's made ropes and wood, and he's just been punching his way into a house. And I like this. He-Man says, and what brings the famous man-at-arms to my humble house? He asks sarcastically. I like how he's gotten some weapons and a little bit of civilization. Now he's a dick. But anyway, man-at-arms, whose people were masters of all weapons, basically let him know that Skeletor has got the castle, and he shudders to think what fate he has planned for the warrior goddess. I think we all know. Anyway, so He-Man gets onto his battering ram space vehicle catapult, and Man-at-Arms convinces him, let's go fight this side by side. You'd be a worthy partner. But I have no time to waste getting to the castle by wheels. And so He-Man just jumps on his battle ram space warp device and teleports there. Like, screw you, Man-at-Arms. Man-at-Arms gets no respect in this comic. Anyway, meanwhile, Skeletor and Beastman reach the door at the end of a secret passageway. Beastman clawed away at it, and Skeletor's lightning blade blasted the ghosts to nothingness and went in to try and find the treasure. But nothing could break the door down, so Skeletor just starts hacking away at it. I like this. Stand back, you ape, ordered Skeletor, and he cut through the ancient door with his lightning blade as though it was melting butter. I like the visuals that this text brings us. Even as the door gave way, a commotion could be heard from outside. See what it is, commanded Skeletor, and Beastman loped obediently down the dark corridor. He's just a little bitch. Anyway, outside the castle, He-Man was using his vehicle like a battering ram. Well, it makes sense. That was 1/3 of it. And Beastman knows who he is somehow. He-Man, but He-Man's force field easily repelled the blast, and He-Man immediately starts throwing shade. This is the best you can do, you brainless gorilla, He-Man taunted. But Beastman basically started attacking the vehicle, which somehow is not covered by the barrier force for no apparent reason, and this caused him to be thrown off. So now, seemingly helpless, He-Man's under his control. But Skeletor saw the shiny object, the broken blade seemed to beckon to him. He eagerly placed the two halves together, and he got the restored power sword, which makes him invincible. Weapon in hand, he turned thirstily for battle. Right, for battle. He's thirsty Skeletor, everyone. Anyway, so just as Beastman's about to screw up, Man-at-Arms shows up, and basically, despite He-Man being a dick earlier, has his back, and they proceed to have themselves a nice little fight. now to help Tila stop the evil Skeletor. He jumps in, but Skeletor's magic sword basically brings to life various things, and He-Man's ditched his damaged costume at this point. He's back just fighting in his his little loincloth or whatever, this leather underwear that he's got and bare feet. And so, but he's just punching away. So, but just as Skeletor is about to have a moment of triumph, the glowing green, the sorceress shows up, says, you've used the power sword. And so with magical gestures, she removed the power sword from Skeletor's hand, splitting it again into two halves, and the sorceress vanished. Weird, she didn't do more than that. So she's like, I'm just going to take your sword and then you're on your own. So Skeletor tried to flee to the roof of the castle, where Beastman and Man-at-Arms. I saw a Merman earlier, but I don't know where he's just gone. So He-Man and Tila, anyway, tear herself free of her bonds, and the two of them all kind of attack. Skeletor and Beastman both pleaded mercy, and the battle ended. All right. So then He-Man, being magnanimous here, puts back on his clothes, and they just take off into the night. So cool. So for now on, only the halves of the power sword inserted into this Chantel lock will open the jaw bridge. So I mean, He-Man basically made his home with his fist for nothing, which is kind of lame. But she's like giving little bits of information and vanishing into a green cloud. So anyway, so the new friends, He-Man and Man-at-Arms and Tila, all reuniting, looking at their new kind of castle place, and then the reward. I like this. You are truly the masters of the universe, who destined to protect my secrets from evil forces, said the spirit of the castle. You should have at least some small reward, and that reward came in the form of a snow white unicorn that galloped over the hill, returning to his mistress. So the reward was the horse that was attacked earlier, kind of just finally showed up again. It's kind of a crap reward. I mean, for saving the whole Eternia and the castle and everything, but okay. So, knowing that it's not the end, it was a good omen for Eternia and the Masters of the Universe. Anyway, that's our comic. So there you go. This is the original comic with the toy. This is when toys were selling comics. So not comics to sell toys or chose to sell toys, but toys selling comics. Why not? Anyway, a little bit different from the Masters of the Universe show that we got, but the origin of He-Man as it was done in comics. What do you think? Cool? Not cool? Something kind of fun. Anyway, right? Let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe, and thanks for listening.